Hey everybody,
What's
we are
up?
live.
We are live. Efren, I don't know about you, but that entrance music gets me ready.
Yeah, it does. It
And
gets me ready too. Gets you
yeah,
pumped.
gets me pumped. Makes me want to tear up a little bit, but in a good way, in a
Hmm.
way of passion.
Absolutely. Gotta love uh, non-copyright music that we can use.
Yes,
Appreciate
not
it.
copyrighted indeed.
That's right. I'll need to put on the description later who it's from so people can check out his stuff
Yes,
because it's awesome. So I will put that down there later. But
yes,
uh, but I'm excited that we get to do our first official movie review, like a
Me
new
too.
movie.
Yeah,
Even more so. Like that's what's exciting.
this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this channel because I didn't know about this movie when the week started.
Oh
A
yeah.
friend of ours recommended it. We
Yep.
watched it, and now we get to talk about it. And I'm glad I saw it.
Yep. I know he was actually watching our top 10, and then he was like, hey, let me suggest this movie to you, and you guys should watch it. And I watched it, and I was like, Gary, man, you have to watch this, and then let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I'll say, bring the recommendations coming because
Hmm.
I had a great time watching this movie.
So did I. We will continue to dig into it. So why don't we go ahead and introduce it?
Yes.
And the movie that was recommended to us that we are very excited to talk about is called The Vast of Night. And I know it's in the description. I know it's been the stuff you've been promoting. But this movie is on Amazon Prime. It's an Amazon Prime original.
Yes.
And so this is again why we wanted to do this channel, because we can find new movies. People can suggest
Mhm.
things, and we had no idea about this movie. And
Before I watched this movie, I thought Amazon Prime was for one reason, and I was rewatching Psych.
yes,
And then I saw this, and I was like, oh, there's other stuff on here.
yeah,
I want to thank my in-laws for logging into their Amazon Prime account on my TV, and
just so you could watch it.
so I could watch this. It may still be logged in on my TV, may not be, who knows. But you can watch this movie on Amazon Prime.
Yes, yes, and as you see on there, it's an Amazon original. It came out May 29th is when they brought it out there. So it is awesome for those who may be checking us out and wondering, because we said we're actual pastors, so we're going to give you the viewpoint from a pastor perspective, from a father perspective, Christian perspective, and just a normal movie lover perspective as well. So we'll try to give you all that. And so the first thing I know with most people, if it's a movie never heard of, you're kind of wondering, well, what's the rating? Can I go watch this? Is it appropriate? It is rated PG-13, but honestly, I don't remember even much cussing in it. Honestly, like I don't think there's a whole lot.
There was a little bit, but
Was
it
it a
was
little bit?
50s cussing.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
understandable.
a lot of the worst words we have probably weren't invented back then.
Mhm.
There was some language, but like I said, not thick language every now and
Right.
then.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with me. It's like if I don't remember much of it, like there wasn't, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
Mhm.
man, I don't remember any at all. But there probably was some, but it wasn't
Yeah.
too bad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that you don't have to worry about. Like if you're trying to go and you have teenagers and you're
Mhm.
trying to watch a family movie with the teenagers or something, like nothing there you really have to worry about. It is the 50s, so there's quite a few people smoking and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just um, nothing that they
Well,
wouldn't see walking down the street. Let's put
no.
it that way.
I thought about a cigarette and a cup of coffee after this movie, but I just had one of the other. I didn't have both.
That's right. And you see the coffee cup there. Um,
New coffee cup, my Happy Gilmore cup.
That's
Thanks
right.
to Target.
yeah. So, so with this movie, it is a suspense thriller. So there are it is very very suspenseful. It is a thriller. It's not a horror in the sense that like jump scares and all those cheap tricks that horror movies do just to get you to be scared and have a few nightmares.
Yes.
But there are things in this that are pretty freaky. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, and we'll dive into that. Non spoiler, in a
Yes.
non spoiler way. But yeah, not a horror movie. You won't hear me at least talking about horror movies. I'll talk about some thrillers. I'll
mhm.
talk about some suspenses, but I don't do the horror movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. It was very good. So Gary, what were your initial thoughts as you're
Okay.
watching through this thing?
Okay, so I turned it on and I was immediately thrilled because this movie is 100% homage,
Whichever one.
to one of my favorite things ever, and that is this movie is an homage to the Twilight Zone.
Yes, it is.
And it establishes that right off the bat, literally takes you into the story that it's telling, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. I love a period piece. I love things. I've always loved stories from this time period. I don't know why. I'm always down for stuff like that. I think it's because I grew up watching the Andy Griffith Show.
Fair enough.
And you'll make fun of me about this. I watched the movie Grease a lot as a kid.
Katie loves that movie too.
It's very nostalgic to me. I love it.
Yeah.
And but this time period, I'm always interested in this time period. And the movie starts off really quickly right off the bat, and you're just kind of thrown into it. And there's some things I like about that, some things didn't like about that. But I love this idea of this small town where everybody's in one location, you know? And like the setting is a high school basketball game.
Yeah.
And the whole town is there, you know? And I love seeing different ways of life that they had back then, you know? Like the main character is, she's an operator. You know, there's no iPhones back then. There's no apps to use. And that made this movie just so much better for the story they were trying to tell.
Yeah, I love how this, because again, had no idea going into it, just based on the suggestion of a very good friend, trusted friend as well. And don't know if he wants his name out there yet, so we'll save that for now. But, he brought it out there, and it was like, all right. And then, like, from the opening scene of just, like you said, the homage, I guess, of Twilight Zone, and they have the TV, like the Twilight Zone. You hear the Twilight Zone guy, like, talking through this, and, and stuff like that. And then how it just, even just that opening scene, like you're watching TV, the camera's slowly going forward, and then you're in the TV, and then you're watching the movie. And then it does a lot of stuff that's really cool.
Reminded me of Twilight Zone, obviously Pleasantville. Remember that movie Pleasantville? I was like, okay, a little bit of Pleasantville vibe here.
Yeah, but a little bit of that. A little bit of, like, just the whole, because it did a few times cut back to the TV. You're in the movie, cut back to the TV. So kind of even that Truman Show reminded me a little bit like you're watching this perspective, which that could be, again, a theory. I was talking to the friend, I was texting him, that could be a theory about that as well, about who's watching the TV. And but this was something that it did, like, the thing is, it's like from the very beginning, like you had the Twilight Zone and this stuff, like, oh, this is cool. And then the way the camera was slowly moving into the TV. Yeah. And then it still was kind of grainy, like you're still watching it. And then it, like, even just that to me was like suspense building from the beginning. And I'm like, what am I in for? Like, and then I was excited too because, for guys like us who see a lot of superhero movies, a lot of big, crazy movies, save the world, it was cool to see one more contained and just like, it's really about the two people, the two characters that you see like on the poster there. It's really about them two and trying to figure out this weird sound that they heard over the radio.
There's something going on in this small town. We don't quite know what it is. And it's up to these two people because everyone else is at the basketball game. Their jobs are essential. Well, probably not a cool thing to say right now, but they have to be away. They literally cannot be at the game, so they get stuck in trying to figure out what is going on. And that just made it very fascinating.
Yes. Yeah. And then most of this movie is like narrative, I guess. Like you're hearing people play out the conversations because how some movies they'll just skip, they'll like have a little conversation, leave you hanging, and skip to the next scene. Like it doesn't do that. Like you're hearing the full conversation, which actually I thought made it a lot creepier. Yeah. With certain conversations that were had, like one guy calls into the radio station and he's telling his story, and you're just kind of like, dude, this is creeping me out. And then they cut to black. Yes. And it's just like, oh man. So there was a lot of like, just the way they handled, kind of like A Quiet Place, the way they handled the lack of sound, background music, and just words, like just people's conversations built a lot of suspense and tension. And I just thought it was great.
Yeah, this is a very dialogue-driven movie. It really is. Sometimes maybe a little bit too much. That's kind of one of my only criticisms of it. I think at the beginning of the movie, first off, real quick, you may not agree with this. The main character in this movie played really well. He talks really fast.
Yeah.
And I had to turn the subtitles on, the closed caption, to follow everything he was saying, especially in that first scene where they're going back and forth to different people, and I was like, what are they talking about? And they're doing 50s talk, you know?
Right.
You know, I think at one point he says, you know, that's the buzz, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, totally, man. You know, but very dialogue driven in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, but yeah, the dialogue in this movie carries it. There's not explosions, there's not, you know, it is very conversation driven, and I like that. I do.
Yeah, I like that they were able to like hold back and like because this very easily could have gone, especially the ending, could have gone a very different way.
Yeah.
It could have gone for, all right, the whole town's figuring this out, like what's going on. You could have had a big hoopla, but no, they kept it contained. I gotta look at the picture. Andrew Patterson, the director on this.
Yeah. I looked him up.
I thought did a great job. Isn't it? This is his first movie.
First
think,
movie.
Right? First or feature film, I guess.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always known. If I like a movie, is I go to look up what the director has done, or who the main characters, like the actors, what they've done to go check it out. But this was his first movie, on, at least on IMDb, that is recorded. And, yeah, directed really well.
Yeah, and like I just love what they did a lot. Like again with the way they filmed this movie, like the cinematography. There we go. I knew there was a word for it. I had to find it. But there's like this one scene, and you know me, I am a sucker for like I talked about it last week about I'm a sucker for that one take shot. And there's this one scene where the camera's running through town, and I was just like even that kind of creeped me out, but I thought it was awesome the way they did it because it felt a lot like literally someone was running through the town.
Yeah.
And you do see a lot of running through the town in this movie because people are just trying to figure stuff out. And again, it's the 50s. You don't have cell phone. You don't have this other technology where you can just real quick get a hold of someone. Like they literally had to drive across town or run across to wherever they had to go. And so, which again built tension because you're like, is something about to happen to him on the way?
That's what I kept thinking.
Yeah, which most movies would do, but this one didn't. But no, it's just hard to like say something without spoiling things.
I know, and I don't want to definitely don't want to spoil this movie at all. That's not what we're about, especially on new movies. But as soon as this movie started, I mean, I'm 2 minutes in, and I'm like, Efren's really gonna dig this because it's got the and it makes you think. Because I didn't watch any trailers or anything. I just saw the poster and the title, and it makes you think, okay, this movie's about this one thing, and then where are they going? What's going on? Oh, it's about this. No, it's like. It really keeps you moving. Yeah. I'm a sucker. I like the continuous shot to a point. You know, I'm a big fan of doorway shots, and what I mean is there was a lot of scenes where the camera was inside somewhere facing an open door, and you could see outside. Right. You know, like there was one scene where the girl, she was standing in the doorway smoking a cigarette, stressing out, and you could just see everything in the background. And it was just quiet. I love stuff like that. And there was quite a few scenes like that in this. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a great job. Like, the way they filmed it gave it suspense. The dialogue gave it suspense. The music, when it was needed, gave it suspense. And it all happens at night.
It all happens at night. It hits the title.
Yeah, exactly. It hits the title. It happens at night. And it's just kind of like. And then when you come to the ending, and it was just, I personally thought it stuck the landing. Pretty well.
It did.
So I thought that was good.
I am a big believer in less is more.
Yes.
I really am. And it's nice to watch something and it just be this 20-minute, hour and a half story, and that's it. They're not building a franchise. They're not building a series. It's just here's this story, take it or leave it. Here's what we're trying to tell. You know, and when everything comes to a head, it lands that because it doesn't show you everything or tell you everything. It just says here it is, you know, and I like stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. Which is why I love the ending because they didn't show you everything; they showed you just enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one thing that I was excited. I was like, yes, this is what. Like we're not going to show you everything, but here it is.
It reminded me of like, you know, you talked about it's a small town. You talked about how, you know, it all takes place at night during a high school basketball game. Everything is in this, but like running through the town, running through the neighborhood and stuff like that. It reminded me of like when I was a kid, and like you not necessarily sneak out, but like you go out with your friends and like just walk the neighborhood, and it would just be so dark and quiet.
Right.
It would just be eerie sometimes. The first town I lived in at my first church, it was an old antique town, Cameron, North Carolina, home of Matt and Jeff Hardy, former WWF superstars.
Had to bring that in, didn't you?
I had to. Well, there would be times I'd have to go up to the church at night to get something, and I got that same feeling watching this movie that I would get when I would go like in that town, just everything dark and quiet, and all you have was street lights,
Yeah.
So that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and that's what I loved about it is because like you, I'm not a huge horror guy. Like I don't like the jumping at you. I feel like that's cheap. I feel like the slashers and stuff. It's like this isn't scary. It's sometimes it's just kind of like whatever. Obviously you're trying to get us scared using cheap tactics, but this I appreciate it because the suspense and the horror, if you will, was out of the necessity of the story because you don't know what's going on and you're figuring out what's going on as the characters are figuring out what's going on.
Yep.
And even then, the characters are kind of confused, so you're still kind of confused. Like, wait, what's actually happening? And so that's where I just thought that stuff did a good job.
Something happening here, what it is, ain't exactly clear. Sorry,
yes.
The song lyrics. But there are two conversations that take place in this movie that drive the story. And one conversation, I'll be honest, I wanted a little bit more of it. The first conversation they have, I wanted that to be a more chunk of the movie. I kind of wish they would have cut that first scene a little bit, like maybe a few minutes off that.
The first part of the conversation.
Like when they're walking, I wish that would have been a little bit shorter, and then more time dealt with the conversation that when, and then the second conversation. Okay, so I watched this movie by myself downstairs.
So did I.
It was Tuesday night. Megan and the kids were asleep, and I watched this movie. And the second conversation, you know me, I get freaked out pretty easily. If I don't watch scary stuff, I don't go to haunted houses because when I get scared, I attack.
Yeah.
And the second conversation had me looking kind of over my shoulder. A little bit because the house was so quiet and it was just so eerie, and that is a testament to how this scene was written and how it was acted out, and it carried these two conversations just carried this movie really, really well.
Yes.
If I'm anything to be critical about this movie, I think the first scene could have been a little bit shorter. I worry about people turning this on and maybe if they don't get this nostalgia feelings that we did about the Twilight Zone, stuff like that, they'll probably cut it off and not experience the story.
Yeah, because the opening scene's, 10 minutes? Maybe?
It went a little bit long. And I just think it could have been a little bit more compacted. What made the Twilight Zone so great was they are single episodes telling one story per episode in 20 to 25 minutes. Part of me thinks maybe this movie could have been a little bit better I know it was only an hour and a half, but maybe you cut 10 minutes, maybe compact it even a little bit more, maybe it could have been a little bit better.
Or take that, what you cut out from the beginning and put it somewhere else, like you said, in the conversations. You still have that hour and a half time frame, which again, that hour and a half I thought was perfect, for this movie.
Yeah.
So taking a little bit of a side note, one thing I did like I understand what you're saying about the beginning and stuff, because I kind of felt it too. I was kind of like, man, this is like to me, I was like, okay, I kind of get like the relationship here, like it doesn't have to be as long. So I get what they were going for, but I thought it was a little long too. But one thing I thought was cool, like from maybe a pastor perspective, because we look at movies and we think, like there's an interesting take, is the second conversation they have in the house. When I guess I'd say the lady they're talking to, when she says, when she's talking about getting in their head, telling them things to make them go crazy. And it's just like, that's a lot like, the way we get tempted.
Yes.
Tempted in sin. Like stuff gets in our head, we get obsessed with it, and then we just go down that path and we do things that maybe when people are like, man, I don't know why they did that because that's not like them. Well, because something got in your head, something got in your heart, and then you do things that it shouldn't have been done that way. So I thought that was like a really good point. And then you're seeing this play out with our main characters, like they're obsessed with this and they're doing things that leaving their post and stuff that they wouldn't normally do.
Forgetting, I don't want to spoil anything, forgetting someone at a house.
Right. Yes, exactly.
You're right. That's a great takeaway. You texted me that you had a takeaway like that, and I was wondering what it was. And and that is a really, really great takeaway. And as everyone watches it, keep that in mind too, because there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah.
Because there's all these, God's word tells us there's an unseen battle around us, and we can get caught up in that and do things we're not supposed to do.
Yeah, you do things that wouldn't normally happen, but you're obsessed with what needs to happen, and so and then like in this, like people couldn't find out where they were. They're like, "What's going on?" And so people were worried because they were getting obsessed over this sound, and they had to figure out what this sound is coming from. And then conversations were driving me to do more crazy things. And so, even that was like, yeah, you can still try to talk to somebody about what's going on. And if you talk to the wrong person, they could keep leading you down that path instead of correcting you. So, I was like, man, this is stuff that could be used, in a sermon or something.
Yeah.
Later on down, because there was a lot of that was happening. So I thought that was very interesting. That kind of tied the whole movie together, and even a theory on that. So,
yeah. Well, I think if you are someone who is into things, any type of sci-fi stuff,
yes,
things like Stranger Things, if you're a fan of Twilight Zone, Super 8, which we talked about a little bit last week, you'll really like this movie.
Yes.
So, it does have a Stranger Things vibe.
Yes, and if you're looking for something different, if you're one of those people that like Hollywood keeps making the same movies over and over, this will be the something different. Yes, it's an homage to Twilight Zone, but it is a breath of fresh air in cinema today.
Yeah. Keep in mind, we're saying Twilight Zone from the 50s and 60s, not Twilight.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to be clear.
All right. So, Gary, I think it's time to throw up there what our official ratings. Now, our ratings, the way we're going to do them, we are throwing up 1 to 5 Hail Marys. And
Hail Mary.
So that will have a double meaning, obviously from religious background, but also from a football background. So yeah, if you have one Hail Mary, you don't have to worry about it much. Maybe you should just, we thought it was, you could kill the time, but it's not worth your time. Like, you don't have to worry about it too much, but it's 5 Hail Marys, like, you better be paying attention. Like, this is something that's serious, like, not serious, but it's like, you got to check this out.
You don't want to miss it. Yeah.
You don't want to miss it whatsoever. So I guess, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first, Gary?
I'm so interested to see yours, so I'd like you to go first.
You're going to go on mine? All right. So when I was thinking about this movie, and I'm like, man, what am I going to rate this? Because it's like, again, we're only doing 5. Oh, and by the way, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no halvesies. Make a decision. It's 3 or it's 4 or it's 5. Like, there's no 4.5. We're just not doing that. Be a man.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
That's right. So if something's a 5, it's got to be like an absolute masterpiece. Like for instance, from last week, Ford versus Ferrari. That would be
a 5.
That is a 5. That is 5 Hail Marys. Like, you should go watch this.
Top Gun is a 5.
That's right. Just stop it. We'll have words later.
We'll talk.
Movie debates coming soon.
There we go.
So, I know for me, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I was really happy with it. Like I said, the breath of fresh air, different take. I love movies like this that are suspense, that are thriller, that are a little bit scary, but it isn't that horror, crazy nonsense that, it's just cheap. So I had a lot of fun with it. Yes, at the beginning, like, honestly, for me, that's probably the only thing that I would have complained about, is that the beginning with the main characters talking. I thought that took a little too long. But other than that, I thought all the other conversations were needed. They were the right length. Maybe a little bit more on that first conversation. Like you said, I would agree with that. So for me, I would put up 4 out of 5 Hail Marys for The Vast of Night. Yes, like, this is a great movie. You definitely should watch it. It has, again, a couple things that we wish was a little different. It isn't the perfect masterpiece that one would hope, but it is great. It's 4 out of 5 Hail Marys for me. What about you, good sir?
So, how I see, my Hail Mary rating, I'm going to say, so anything 4 and above is going to be absolutely loved it. You know, between that, liked it a lot. Below that, you know. So it was clunky in times. The dialogue is a little bit too much at times. The opening scene, I feel like, weighed it down. So that's going to keep me from going 4 until I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to go 3 Hail Marys. Liked it a lot, and you should definitely check them out. Check it out. Definitely recommending it. But there's just a couple things there that are keeping me from going into the love it category.
Going into the love it category. That's fair.
But I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I think you and I probably see the 1 through 5 in the same boat. Because to me, I did love it. I thought it was great. Maybe because I have a little bit more patience than you. Maybe that's what it is.
That could be.
To where I can sit through the dialogue and I'm just like, I'm like dissecting every word. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to figure out, okay, they said this, so they said, oh, this is how this connects. So my mind's probably just doing more of that to where I appreciate it a little bit more. I can understand because you are much more of a straightforward guy. Like, tell me what it is, now let's move on. So,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So I can understand. If you would have gone down to 2, I'd have been like, I don't know.
Oh no, this is much more than a 2.
Yeah. That would be the.
This is as high as a 3 as I can go. Just put it that way. There's no edge of 2. This is
right.
You know.
Like we said, be a man, make a decision, stick by it.
Absolutely.
So there you go. For mine, I have 4 out of 5 Hail Marys. Gary has 3 out of 5 Hail Marys and a phone call apparently.
Hey, that's the work phone. I'm off today.
For the Vast of Night. So we definitely say check it out. Worth your time. It's on Amazon Prime. It's
Amazon
free.
Prime. Yeah.
It's free. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. So
or get your in-laws to log in and watch it on their account.
That's right. And again, I would definitely say stick to the PG-13 rating. Man, hopefully that phone will go away.
Sorry about that.
But I would definitely say stick to that PG-13 rating. There are stuff in here, things in here that would spook probably those young. I know everyone knows their kids, but
yeah.
I mean, teenagers and stuff. This will be fine.
I think it's safe for
younger than
teenagers.
that. I don't think they should watch it. Like not even like us adults are watching it. Kids are around. If they see a few things, they happen to see a few things. They'll probably get freaked out and want to sleep in your bedroom for the next 3 months. So
I wouldn't have handled this movie well at the age of 10 or anything like that. I would have been I'd have been freaked out.
Yeah.
I barely handled it well at 32. So.
That's right. But yes, if you can, like me, I was downstairs, dark room. All we had, we have that lit garland thing that goes around the wall, around the TV. That's all I had on because I wanted full immersive experience.
Yeah. I highly recommend watching this movie that way, at night, in the vast of night.
Yes.
Sorry. Quiet house, I don't like all this noise around me when I'm watching a movie.
Absolutely.
Dark, quiet room, watch this movie. It's
Yeah.
good viewing experience.
And big you. Absolutely. So check it out. Very much worth your time. On Monday,
Yes.
at 12 o'clock, Gary and I will be talking about our, collectively, our top 5 underrated and top 5 overrated movies. So if you want to see what we feel is underrated and maybe will offend you by what we think is overrated, check us out on Monday at 12 o'clock.
Monday at noon, right here.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on the bell so you know when a new video comes on, all that great stuff.
Yeah, if you're gonna subscribe and like, might as well hit the bell. It's just one more, just one more click. And if you're watching this for the first time, go back and watch some of our previous episodes. Some good stuff there. Top 10 movies of the decade, which I thought was really well. I had some people texting me about that episode. Some were not happy with us. Some were thrilled with us. We had some questions, but hey, this is our opinion. You can deal with it.
That's right. We're going to tell you what we think, and you can always let us know in the chat or the comments
Dang
what
right.
you think. If you think we're wrong, let us know. We'll bring it up because, hey, we don't take this stuff personally. We like to have fun, and we love a good debate.
Yep.
So we will be down for all of that. So let us know in the comments what you think. Check out our other videos. If you want to know what we're about and why we started this, check out our first video. It's called It's Happening on there as well. And then hopefully we'll see all you guys on Monday at noon.
All right. See you Monday.
All right. See you guys. Thanks for being with us.